Welcome to Jersey Beast TV, and in this video we're going to be covering how you can maximize strength and muscle growth in the same workout. So here's how we're going to do this. Obviously, when you train, you're doing a combination of compound movements and isolation movements, right? So usually, especially if you're doing a bodybuilding or a strength training split, a typical strength training split, nothing too crazy. You're lifting weights, you're doing squats, your deadlifts, your rows, your presses, and you're using isolation movements like chest flies, bicep curls, maybe tricep work like push down, something like that. Using these exercises in your workouts because they're time tested, they're old school, they work. No reason to get crazy fancy with what you're doing. If you want to get big and strong, you just gotta lift weights. So here's one of the ways I've been breaking up my workouts. I've been supersetting a compound movement with an isolation movement. A couple of different ways you can do this. The first way is you can do the isolation movement first as a pre-exhaust to tax those muscle fibers in that target muscle group. So basically, if you're doing chest flies and you hit those first in your workout, your chest is going to be taxed, your joints are going to be warmed up a little bit as opposed to jumping right into the bench press. There's some benefits to that, like not going so heavy on the bench because your chest is already taxed. So you can get away with using lighter weights on the bench as long as you don't care about numbers. You can get away with using lighter weights on the bench and having it feel more intense because you're pre-exhausting, you're pre-taxing those fibers in your chest. The other way to do this is do the power movement first, the compound movement first, the bench press first, which is what I'm going to show you today. So we're going to do the bench press first, okay? You can do however many sets or reps you want, 5 by 5, 4 by 5 to 7, whatever your split calls for. And then you're immediately going to superset, which is like no break, right? You're going right into your flies, you're right into your isolation movement. So bench press first, flies second. We're going to break down how you can get the max benefit out of doing it this way. All right, so we're going to hit the bench press first, 5 sets of 5. This is my third set. Couple deep breaths, you're going right into your chest flies. And again, you can do as many reps or sets as you like, whatever your program calls for. Now, a couple of different ways you can make this more interesting for your workouts. The first is manipulating your sets and reps. So first thing to note is you have to know how many sets you're going to do, how many reps you're going to do in your workout, and modify the weight accordingly. Obviously, you're going heavier if you're doing 5 reps or 3 reps than you are if you're going 8 to 10 or 10 to 12. But you want to make sure the weight's challenging, at least on the last set or 2. All right, the other way you can make this more difficult is rep speed. So you could slow down the rep speed. If you guys noticed, on my flies, on the bench press I was slow and controlled, but on the flies I was exaggerating that a little bit more, getting a good stretch at the bottom and getting a good squeeze at the top. Rep speed is a huge way and a very underutilized way to maximize growth in your workouts. You hear time under tension. The more time you spend with that muscle contracting or being active, the better off you're going to be. But let me leave you with this. If you do it that way, you have to modify. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're good. You got to modify the weights accordingly. So if you're doing 5-second negatives or 8-second negatives or 10-second negatives, you're counting in your head, Obviously, you're going to have to jump the weight down a little bit because there's more time under tension. Your muscles are working harder in that time frame. So if you're typically doing flies or 50s for 5 or 7, and you're banging them out, you may have to shoot for 30s. The key to muscle growth and strength is to leave your ego at the door and not try and max out every single workout. It's not going to work for your benefit. Make sure you hit your sets and reps. Make sure you control the weight and the weight doesn't control you. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Oh, real quick, before I go, check out beachbrotherhood.com. It's my new website where you guys can get muscle building, strength training, and fabulous information for men. See you.